Alright, so I was at my manufacturer and picked up my new subframe here for the SV650. This is something I've been waiting a long time for. You can see I've got that one on my bike already. This is one that I made myself, but this one here is production level quality. The quality is much nicer, and this is now something that I can reproduce for anybody else who wants one. So I'm going to go over this really quickly for everybody, show everybody a few details about it, and then I'm going to get it on my bike, and then I'll go over it a little bit more because I'm going to produce obviously more of these, but I'm going to make a few minor changes, just tweaks to optimize everything to make sure that this whole thing is perfect. So jumping into it, this is basically how it is. There's a seat pan on top, latch here at the back. This will then lift up and off. And then we kind of show here that we've got a battery tray with tons of room. There's definitely more than enough room for a battery, all your electricals, everything to fit in here. I think a full-size battery can fit in here. So I run a smaller battery, but I think, don't like take my word for it, but I think you could fit a full-size battery in here. It's got a hole here for the lock, so you can lock this whole thing. Latch will mount up to here. Everything is CNC laser cut, CNC bent, and then TIG welded. So what they do, they actually cut this in 3 separate pieces. So this is like a backing piece here, because it's kind of difficult to get some of these different bends. Basically, yeah, they cut off this back piece. You can see it's welded in here. They can then do this bend as one piece. Then they do the 2 different sides. So this is all like laser cut. Here you can see the cuts are like super clean, no burring, no nothing like that. CNC bent in a press brake. There's a few markings here, but we can actually eliminate most of that with putting some ceramic between the press brake and the metal when we bend it. And then TIG welded here. So you can see weld quality is top notch. Everything looks really good. So yeah, that's the basis of it. One of the most complicated parts about this whole thing was this radius right here. To try and get just like a gradual bend on something like this is so much harder than just doing like a straight bend like something like this. So all of these little marks here, each one of these is actually a bend in itself. So it's called step bending. So what they do is they put it in, they do like one little bend, they move it down this much, they do another bend, move it down, do another bend, and it's just like a whole bunch of different bends along the whole thing. And that's how they're able to get this. So worked out really well. They welded it all the way along the outside here and then polished it down. I also made this gas tank mount piece. So this actually bolts to the front here and then will bolt right to your gas tank. So the gas tank is nice and secure in a proper way. And that's kind of the basis of it. Oh yeah, and then the tail light here. So there's a piece welded onto the backing there, so you can just put a tail light right in here. So that's the basis of the whole subframe. I'm going to get this on the bike, get it pretty much like working on the bike, and then I'll go over a few more details about it. Everything I'm going to change and everything that will stay the same. right, so here we go. Subframe is on the bike. Everything lines up perfectly. This fits the bike really, really well. Pretty easy to install, pretty much just like a couple bolts and it's on there. So this is pretty much like the finished product, how it's all looking on the bike. I did make some changes to the design for making more. There's a few little tweaks that I pretty much want to make. I'll just go over those really quickly so that you know. The main thing, these slots are going to be like a little bit smaller. I just think these are like a little bit too big, so I'm going to make those smaller. It's the pic logo for pic.metalworks, by the way, just put in the side of the seat. Taillight fits really well, so I think that should be totally fine. I'm gonna change this. So basically like this whole tab bends off of this belly pan, but I'm gonna make it like a weld-on tab underneath so that this won't be a gap in here. And that'll flow nicely. This gap won't be here because they actually made this subframe like a little bit too short by cutting it into 3 pieces. So gotta go over that whole length thing, and that will fix that. That's pretty much like the basic changes for the exterior. I'm also gonna I put like little washers in behind there, so that'll come, and then there's like a spacer that will weld on for this one so that it's like bolted on firmly. Everything's like nice and strong. For this voltage regulator, I just like drilled holes and bolted mine on. This isn't an actual SV650 one. I think it's from a CBR 600 or something. So this isn't coming with like pre-drilled holes. You can drill your own, or you might want to mount it somewhere else. That's up to you, personal preference. The lock will fit the SV650 lock, so you'll be able to keep your whole like single key setup. At least it should be able to. I think that'll be all good. And then this is a different shock that I have in here as well, with the reservoir back here, and it still clears, still fits okay. So should be okay with most. I mean, I can't like confirm every shock. But mine does fit. So otherwise, let me pop off the top really quick. Couple other changes on the inside. So yeah, that's the tab at the back that will instead be a welded on piece so that there won't be a gap there. Inside the battery tray, so I'm gonna change this whole latch mechanism actually, so that instead of having to use this latch that just has like a hook, has this hook underneath on the seat tray, I'm going to change it so that it can actually use just like the SV650 latch that's used for the rear seat. So we'll change that whole mechanism. This battery tray will be made out of 1/8 inch instead of 3/16 like this one is. That they got that wrong. And that's kind of like pretty much the changes, at least that you'll notice. There's a couple other like tiny little changes, like lining this up a little bit better so there's no gap here. Little tweaks on my list. There's quite a few, but kind of that matters or that you'll notice. Those are the basic changes. One more thing actually, just with mounting the battery. By the way, don't mind my extra cables. This is a charging cable, and obviously this can be tidied up a lot more. I 3D printed something here just to hold my battery down, but everyone's battery is a little bit different. So I've got these, which you saw probably in my last version of the subframe. You can bolt this down and then run a Velcro strap over, and then there's the 2 slots in the front of the battery tray that you can use to hold down your battery. So that's all sorted, and I'll ship these out with the subframe for anybody who wants one. So one more cool thing is I've been working with a guy in Poland actually. His name is Arthur. He has an SV650 first gen just like mine, and reached out to me and wanted one of these subframes. We looked at shipping costs to get it to Europe, and it's like stupid expensive. It's crazy for something like this. So what we actually did was we found a manufacturer in Poland who could make one. He got it made, and it's on his bike. The quality is great. His bike looks amazing, probably even better than mine, to be honest. It looks really, really cool. And yeah, stoked for his build, stoked to have another one of these in the world as well. It's pretty cool. And then the good thing is anybody in Europe who wants one of these, we now have a manufacturer who can do that over there. And it's like so much cheaper to get it to you from there. So I kind of really quickly wanted to go over the whole thing with like selling the subframe and that whole thing behind it. I mean, look, the main reason why I made this was just for myself. I wanted to make something cool on the bike. And it's been like a really cool learning experience for me, just like going through the whole process of like design and then finding a manufacturer and prototyping and all that kind of stuff. It's been super cool, and it's been like just a really rad experience. So I've opened it up to be able to sell it to anybody who wants one, because people have been reaching out to me throughout this build and wanting to buy my subframe and or wanting me to make one, and I figured that this was the best way that I could do it and have like a good quality, have something that's like, you know, I could replicate. this isn't a money-making thing for me at all. If anything, I'm losing money off of this. So it's like, it's not like I'm doing this like a business. But I like helping people out if I can, or supporting other builds. And I think, you know, having a project and being able to build something is such a cool part of life. But if you don't have, you know, welders and metal fabrication tools and stuff like that, the subframe especially is like the most difficult part. So yeah, I want to make them available. These are obviously very custom, so it's not for everybody. And also you have to understand your own risks when you're modifying your own motorcycle. I can't take any liability for anybody or like anything on that. But if you're the type that's, you know, you're modifying your motorcycle anyways and you want something like this, I'm just going to make this available. And I'm also going to do like all the rest of my parts available as well that I've been designing and making. So it's like my skid plate, front fender, headlight, license plate mount, chain guard. I think there's a few other, and I'll try my best to also make a seat that I can replicate as well, that will suit the subframe. I'm gonna actually probably change up the design from the one that I designed. I kind of want to try something a little bit different. I like it, but I want to tweak it a little bit more. So I'm gonna do it basically like a group buy situation, where the more people who order it, the cheaper it's gonna be, because I can take more orders to my manufacturer, and it's just better for everybody. I'll try and order some extra as well, just so that I have some around if people want some later on down the road. But I think that that's the best way to do this. Like I say, it's not like this is my business or I'm making a whole bunch of money off this. If I do tack on anything on top, it's all going to go to support the shop here, which is a non-profit. It's basically like an open workshop for a bunch of young people around the area. And that's, again, kind of like why I'm doing this in this space, is just to like build stuff in the shop and just create an awesome environment. And it's a learning environment for us all. So that's what I'm going to do. If you want one, or you want to, I don't know, check it out. I'll put a link in the description of the Shopify store. You can have a look at that. Good thing is, if you're in Europe, also cheaper shipping there too. So we'll do probably a group buy in Europe, group buy here in North America. And yeah, that's kind of like where it's at with all of that. So if you've just been watching the videos because you enjoy watching building this bike, and kind of like me figuring out this whole process of manufacturing and stuff like that, awesome as well. There's no pressure for anybody to buy any. So yeah, that's that side of things. Hope you've been enjoying the subframe and everything like that. I'll have probably more updates to come if I end up changing my seat, and skid plate and that kind of stuff, as well as other projects, like a bunch of videos for this 240 over here, and GS 750 right here that I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff for. I'm not sure if you've seen any videos or if I've posted any yet by the time you're seeing this. By the way, the CB 750 that was in the corner, my brother's bike, we sold it, unfortunately. It was just too much of a project for him, and he's actually going to be building a second gen SV650, which is pretty cool. So we're going to do pretty much the same stuff for second gens as I have for first gen. So yeah, that's the update on everything. More videos will be coming through soon. Hope you've been enjoying it. See ya.